a diagram of the lungs, and then when they take it out, they check to see what he felt, because there's a feeling that the fingers feel that could be the eye won't catch. And you have to get, and also when you take it out, you don't feel what happened inside, because it could be left it hanging inside, and they're not checking the whole thing.
Well, if he feels it's there,
then they have to check it afterwards to see what it was.
They have to blow it up.
They'll blow it up. They'll look at to see what it was.
I think if the general public honestly understood the labor intensity that goes on with shechita and checking, they'd understand why kosher meat costs more. One just complains, some people, oh, kosher meat is so expensive, you know? I mean, this is not...
Right.
This is, shoot and kill.
We have someone that came to the Bais and they wanted to convert. And we said, what inspired you? They said they saw an article on kosher, and they said how they have to blowtorch and boil the vessels, and so this is much more sanitary. We should do this. And they started to keep kosher just because they saw an article somewhere. No, they weren't looking for religion. They just, and then but once they started to keep kosher, they started to look more kosher. They were keeping kosher, and then they decided they're going to. Okay. So, Umi Amar Rab Nachman Hachi. Does Rab Nachman really say this? Now, remember we said Rab Nachman. Rab Nachman said that if it's attached to the wall, it's not a problem. However, if there's growths on it, there is a problem. But Amar Rav Yosef Bar Ben Yomi, Amar Rav Nachman. But Rav Yosef Bar Ben Yomi says in the name of Rav Nachman, Reya Shenikva, if there is a lung that has a hole, if the wall is covering over the hole, then it's not a problem. Why do we say that there's a problem if there's growths there on the lung? Even if there's a hole, but the wall is covering it up. This is like kasha. It's not a problem. It depends where. We're considering the hole. If it's in the place where it's tight, or it's in the place where it's not directly against the chest wall. Where's the place of where it's tight in the wall? That's talking about if it's on the upper part of the lung, that's where the lobes are. Those smaller lobes are up there. So that would be not a problem. But where would it be a problem that's lower down? But there, if there's growths, it would be a problem. Rashi says the halacha is like Rav Nachman. Interesting. A lenient opinion. Amar Rav Yosef Bar Ben Yomi, Amar Rav Nachman. Gufa. We're going back to examine what Rav Yosef Bar Ben Yomi said in the name of Rav Nachman. Right? This fits. So far, our rule is worked out. That Amar Mar is always a Mishnah, or a Bais, and Gufa is always re-examining. So Amar Rav Yosef Bar Ben Yomi, Amar Rav Nachman, Reya Shenikva v'Deifen Seisma says Ksherif. There's a lung that has a hole. However, the wall is covering it up. It's kosher. Amar Ravina says, V'hu desavich bebisra. That's only if there's this meat. How does it translate savich? Tangled. If it's tangled in the flesh, enmeshed. Okay. There's two ways of understanding what's going on here. Rashi says, he says enmeshed or tangled in the flesh. Rashi says, where's my emphasis? Rashi says the emphasis is on the flesh. That if it's enmeshed in the flesh, then it's going to be kosher because there's a hole in the flesh, as opposed to if it's next to the actual rib, because you have the ribs and the flesh, the spaces in between. So where is it attached to? If it's attached to the flesh, that's the... Tosfos, on the other hand, says that the main emphasis here is on the savich, on the enmeshed. But not that if it's just attached. It needs to be enmeshed. That's the emphasis. Tosfos brings from Reb Sar Shalom Goin that it doesn't matter. It's all, whether it's attached or whether it's just, whether it's enmeshed or whether it's attached, it's kosher. And he says that he's not going to paskin like Ravina, he's going to go like Rav Nachman. He claims that Ravina is arguing on Rav Nachman. When you read this simply, you read that Ravina is explaining Rav Nachman. The Sar Shalom Gaon doesn't say that. He says that Ravina is arguing on Rav Nachman. He's more strict. And he says we're not going to go like Ravina. He has a proof. He has a proof. An unbelievable proof. The Gemara said that does Rav Nachman really say that if there's growths, it's going to be treif? But Rav Nachman says that if the wall covers it over, it's not a problem. So we had to answer that it depends which part of the lung. We could have answered according to Ravina that it depends if it's enmeshed. The Gemara didn't answer that. It must mean Rav Nachman doesn't hold of that. Ravina's arguing on Rav Nachman. That's his proof. Then he says that this Ravina says, why aren't we going to paskin like Ravina? He says Ravina is much later than Rav Nachman. You always go like the later one. He said it's not a later Ravina, it's an earlier Ravina, and he proves it because Rav Yosef is now going to talk to Ravina. See, this Ravina is not even on this chart. See, there's two Ravinas, Aleph and Bais. Taisva says that there's a Ravina up here. Another Ravina.
One of these two guys already talking to him.
Right. It may have been a compound. It may have been a condensed word, Rav Avina or something, and it became Ravina. With a lot of the names are like that. Ravin is Ravavin.
It says the earlier Ravina was together with Rav Achabar. Rav.
2 generations up.
Rav Achabar.
Rav.
I don't know. Okay. Amalei Rav Yosef le Ravina. Rav Yosef says to Ravina, V'ilay sabich mai. And if it's not enmeshed with the meat, what are you going to say? Treifa? Al mamrina nekuvihi. Then why are you saying it's treifa? It must mean that it has a hole. Ihachi, if it has a hole, ki sabich nami. Then even if it's enmeshed, it's a problem. In other words, enmeshed is going to make a huge difference here. Why? If it's not enmeshed, then it's treif because there must be a hole there, because when it's attached to the wall. The Hatanya, so it should be a problem even if it isn't enmeshed with the, because we have a brisa, nikiv pasel neshu shaisis. Okay, we jump to another topic here, and we're talking about if there is a cut in the or a hole in the
Os.
what's the os?
Os plus kaddish.
In the os, in the Hebrew, in the male reproductive organ. So then it's possible that the person won't be able to have children, and he's considered a krushavcha. A krushavcha is not supposed to get married into the congregation. So if there's a hole there, because it says because it will the zera is going to leak out instead of come out with force. So nistam, however, if the hole heals, then it's kosher. Then it's going to be kosher because he will be able to procreate. And this brisa finishes that this is a defect that will come back to being kosher. Because it could heal. It will be, because it could heal. Now when it says this is, what are we coming to exclude? Who is this coming to exclude? My lav gavna must be coming to exclude if there's a hole in the lung that gets healed because of the flesh. Oh, we don't have any other way of explaining what is the coming to exclude. It must be that this does not get healed, the lungs. The Gemara says, Lai. We have other things that we can explain this for. The krum shalamach masmaka, bereya deina krum. If there's a scar tissue that grows over, that doesn't help because that's going to fall off. But the flesh that's enmeshed, that the lung is enmeshed, then that's not a problem. Maskefler Rav Ukva Bar Chama. Rav Ukva Bar Chama asks a question. Rav Ukva Bar Chama is the other son-in-law. Ilu, it's under Rav. He's not here, but it's Rami Bar Chama's brother.
Oh my.
That's what we believe. Ilu inkiv bedoifen lahada mai. Let's say there's a hole in the chest itself, right next to where we have this adhesion to the lung. Treifa. Is it going to be a treifa? Now, if that's the case, we never mentioned this in the Mishnah that a hole in the chest is a treifa. Listening to Kuvas Adayvan, let it say a hole in the chest is a treifa because there's a hole straight through it. It's not helping the problem. There's possibly a hole in the lung, and now there's a hole in the chest. Gemara says, according to your question, according to your reasoning, Am Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef, this is what Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yosef says. Am Rabbi Yochanan, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Mara shenikva, let's say there's a hole in the gall. V'kavit seis masa, but the liver is pressed against it and is closing up the hole. He said that's kshera. However, ilu inko kavit lada, let's say there'd be a hole in the liver right where it's pressing against the gall. What would you say, treifa? It's also a treifa. Then listening to kuvas hakavit. Why don't we say a hole in the liver is a treifa in that case where there's a hole in the gall as well? Elaki nikva delav mina mitrafa lekatani. Hachinamik even lav mina mitrafa lekatani. When you're talking about a hole in one part of the body, that's not a treifa because of itself, but because it's not protecting the other part, we're not talking about those in the Mishnah. A hole in the chest, because it's not covering up the hole in the lungs, that's not the cases that we're saying in the Mishnah. Okay. Rabbi bar bar Chana mishmuel. Rabbi bar bar Chana asks from Shmuel. Rabbi bar bar Chana, we had him in the name of Rav. We had him. We had a discussion in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Now he's asking from Shmuel. Helsat smachim mahu. If there's growths on the lung, what's the din? Amalei kshera. Shmuel says it's not a problem. Amalei afani yomer kain. Rabbi bar Chana is probably by Rabbi Yochanan. No, it's not by Rabbi Yochanan. I don't know. He's a contemporary of Rabin. Amalei, so Rabbi bar bar Chana says, Afani yomer kain, I also say so. Yeah, very good. I also say so. Talmidim mizdanzin bedavar. The students are skeptical about this. Damar Rav Masna, because Rav Masna says, Rav Masna is a student.
Matana?
You have Matanim probably. In yeshivas they say Rav Masna. Okay, that's the very good.
Thanks, Bert.
Malya Mugla Treifa. If there is a blister or a cyst on the lung that's filled with pus, that's Treifa. And Mayim Zakim is Kshera. If it's filled with clean water, is it kosher? And here at Smachim, the growths are filled with pus. So you're saying that it's kosher, but the students have a statement from Rav Masna that says that it's not. Amalei Ahu B'Kol Yitmar, that's not talking about on the lungs. That's talking about on the liver. Rabbi Yitz, on the kidney. Thank you. That we said before, Laksa Kolya. Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yosef havi ka'azal basrei de Rabbi Yirmiyah b'shukah de tabchi. Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yosef was going after Rabbi Yirmiyah in the butcher's market, in the abattoir. Chazinu lahanach de kaimin tzamchi. He sees those lungs that have these growths on them. They're hanging over there in the store. Amalei, tells him, Leiboy marumta, you don't want any meat? He's provoking him to hear what his opinion is about this, because it was a machlokes. He says, you don't want any meat? Umta is like raw meat. Amalei, Leslie Priti. So he avoids it. He says, I don't have any change. Amalei, Akfan Mana, he says, I'll lend you. Or I'll get on credit. So Amalei, my avidlach. He says, like, what do you want from me? What should I do for you? The Chiyasal Kami de Rabbi Yochanan, when I came to Rabbi Yochanan, so they each understand what's going on. They're just like, he says, when I came to Rabbi Yochanan, Mishadalu Lakami de Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Shimon, the Boirima Mishmei de Rabbi Lazar Bar Shimon Le'atera. What happened was, they brought the lung that had growths on it to Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan didn't want to paskin, because he didn't hold of this. He didn't hold that it was kosher. But he would send them to Rabbi Yehuda Bar Rabbi Shimon, that would paskin in the name of Rabbi Lazar Bar Shimon that it's kosher. Here you see that if a rabbi doesn't want to holds that it's not kosher, you don't have to say. You can send it to someone else who holds that it's kosher, and let him say that it's kosher. But Rabbi Yochanan didn't hold. So Rabbi Yirmiyah didn't want to buy this meat because of this conflict. Amar Rava Kiev Maskinin Basrei de Rab Nachman. Rava says, when I was walking after Rab Nachman, B'shuka de Goldai, in the tanners or in the leather workers market, Bamila b'shuka derabanan, or maybe it was in the shuka derabanan. The difference would be, have the rabbis already made a ruling about this, which would make it a problem according to if people don't want to be strict. Chazi hanach dekaimi kandi kandi. Look at those. Chazi, or we saw those that were there that were kandi kandi. They had these growths on them. They looked like jugs, little jugs growing on them. Rav Nachman didn't tell the butchers anything. Rabbi and Rabasi and Rabasi were in the marketplace in Tveria. That's where they lived, by Rabbi Yochanan. Chazi hanach dekaimi tinri tinri. They saw that were these also this like little blisters that are larger than than the ones before. And they didn't tell the butchers anything that it wasn't kosher. The Gemara is saying that it's kosher.
Why?
Because they didn't tell the butchers anything.
What should they say? Are they the Mar
Yeah.
Asa?
Yeah,
They were the Mar Asa
Yeah.
in that town in Tveria?
yeah. Yeah, after Rabbi after Rabbi Yochanan. Actually, Rabbi was probably after Rabbi and Rabasi. But after Rabbi Yochanan, they took over, Rabbi and Rabasi. They were as great as, I forget what it says, they were as great as Ravashi. They were as great, the Bezdin of...
They had to have been the best of
Yeah.
that town.
Yeah. Okay, I'll have to stop here. But so much fun.
So Rashi says kandi kandi is large growths,
Yeah.
large heavy growths in the lawn. And someone says that's kosher?